Have you ever had a near-death experience? Or perhaps someone you know may have had a near-death experience? Well, if so, we would love to hear your story and have you as a guest on our podcast. For more information, visit NDE.world. Again, that's NDE.world. We would love to hear your story.
Welcome to the NDE World Podcast, where we explore the magical, mystical, and spiritual world of near-death experiences. And now, Ashton Lewis and Daphne Lynn.
Welcome back to the NDE World Podcast. I am your host, Ashton Lewis, and this is my co-host, lovely hostess, Miss Daphne Lynn. Hello, Daphne. How are you today?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful. Feeling good and spry and just enjoying the day. How are you?
I am absolutely fantastic. I'm looking forward to today's episode. We see a certain question that comes up a lot, and we're just going to touch base on a few of the elements today. It's such a deep subject. It could be covered probably in multiple podcasts, just to be honest with you. But
multiple episodes?
Yeah, we're gonna try to at least cover a foundation to give those who ask this question a lot, and see if we can kind of maybe ease their minds and maybe point them in a direction or something, to give them some ideas or something. And the question is this, okay, and we hear it so much. Is there a hell? And referring to hell as the modern world understands hell.
Religious.
Religious influence, like the torture, the torment, and your sins,
Forever,
your rebellions, your harming others, and, the devil, the demons, the fire, all these kind of things. Is that an actual, real, literal place? All right? Or could all of this possibly be all in your mind? So,
really, really good questions. And we have answers to this question from multiple sources.
yes.
And that is going to hopefully open your mind and your heart to understand the concept and where it came from.
So let's dive right into it. I think to begin with, we need to understand what hell is, okay? And the point is hell varies from culture to culture. Even its origins are diverse. So we're going to throw out the basic version of hell, okay? The I guess would be more of the biblical, probably more of the Christianity hell. The fire, the torment, the torture.
The different beliefs and the interpretations of what hell is.
Yes, absolutely. So the question is, before we start, is we need to ask, where do we start? So the idea is to understand that if we're dealing with what we call God, or the source of love, pure love, the question has to be, can something like hell, or the concept of hell of modern times, exist in a physical, literal place? And could that be in harmony with that God's personality, okay, if it is love? So
right, and that's where we hear so many of these NDEers talk about the love that's on that other side. There
Absolutely.
is no religion on that side, so we really have to take a step back and really examine our own beliefs on this, because many of these NDEers state that there is no hell. And if God is all love...
Pardon the interruption.
Okay.
I was going to say some do have distressing, accounts. There are those hellish or those distressing near-death experiences. I just want to kind of throw that in there. I'm not denying that. But anyway, go back to what you were saying.
Right, but the point I was making is, if God is all love, and we hear that from so many of these NDEers, even some of the ones that have had the hybrid experiences, that, they went through that hellish, distressing NDE straight into a more positive, pleasing, pleasurable NDE, and experienced the love of the Creator. Now, the love of the Creator, you can't have love and hate in the same thing. It's either all love or all hate.
Torture does not exist there.
Exactly.
Pain, all that it does. I haven't heard any of them.
Exactly. It is all in our minds.
Absolutely.
What we think, what our religious teachings are, because that doesn't exist on that side. From what I am gathering, my research that I've done. And that's why this is such a major topic, because there's so many that are programmed, that, this person's going to burn in hell. But you think of every funeral service you go to, every single one of them. Oh, they're in heaven now. And I know people that have passed away that were not really good people. Oh, but they're in heaven now.
Right. I've experienced
So,
that before.
yeah. So we've got to take a step back, examine this ideal of, in our belief system, of what hell is and the concepts of it.
Absolutely. And that kind of brings us to where we're at with today's topic at hand is, why don't we just look into the roots? Where do the concept of torture and eternal torment and, does it have roots? It's got to have its roots, okay? So if you're all getting all of your whole life information from one book, for example, say like the Bible, and you are being programmed a certain way of what something is or who something is or what something is, if you're just going to stay right there, then it's going to be hard for you to understand this concept, okay? Because you have to look past your indoctrination. You have to look past your own belief systems, your own BS. You have to look past how you grew up, how you were raised, where you lived, what your influences were, what your church was, your school, your family, your friends,
Right.
what anything. So it's all personal, but you've got to understand, in an NDE context, people do have distressing NDEs, and they have what we call the hellish NDEs, okay? However, I've never heard one of them ever come back and say that there is a hell or that there is a place to be tormented and everything. To me, that's where the actual life review falls into place, because when you start to understand the actual life review, without getting too far off subject here, the life review is where you get plugged in to all of those people that you hurt, okay? And,
Right.
and until you can feel the love or you can feel the pain that you've caused others. And so with that in mind, let's go back to the beginning. Now, I went into ChatGPT here and asked the question on what are the actual origins and the history of hell. And, of course, this is historical stuff. You can look into it yourself. And I'm going to read a little bit here for you guys. It says that the concept of hell has diverse origins and has evolved over time across various cultures and religions. Okay? It is important to note that different belief systems have distinct interpretations of hell. And not all cultures or religions share the same understanding. It's kind of like what we had mentioned earlier.
So that right there should be a red flag to us. If there's so many variations of it,
Correct.
and there's only one creator, then you should have one set standard across the board.
That's a very good point. Absolutely. Because anything that is truth, it resonates across all
planes.
planes, yes.
Yes.
If you've got something that has so many different belief systems or contradicting belief systems, which religion is golden at that. That's why you got so many different religions. Then you're going to get all these different variations, which means it definitely takes away from the reality of what it really is. So I think people need to understand what it is instead of just going blindly believing anything that they were told. Okay.
Right.
Now we have to go to the origins, and you can go all the way back to the actual Mesopotamia area. With I'm sure with Zoroastrianism and stuff like that. But let me read here. It says that the earliest known depiction of an afterlife resembling hell can be traced back to, ancient Mesopotamian civilizations, particularly in Sumerian and Akkadian cultures. Okay, the Sumerians believed in an underworld called Kur, ruled by the goddess Ereshkigal. Okay, so that's the actual Mesopotamia, and that's where you get a lot of with Zoroastrianism and stuff like that. When that's the good and the bad, the dualistic kind of concepts of evil and good, and the afterlife of the torture and things like that. So it starts right there. Now,
Even in ancient Egypt.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. Would you like to comment on that? Some things as far as ancient Egypt goes.
Yeah, now the Egyptians had a more complex belief system regarding the afterlife. They believed in a judgment of the soul and the possibility of an eternal punishment for the wicked. But the god Osiris played a significant role in the Egyptian afterlife, and the wicked were believed to have to face a second death. So even right here, just two different accounts,
Concepts,
totally different.
Cultures.
Yeah. Now, just these two belief systems about what hell is. Do you remember the first time that you heard about hell or learn about hell and what it was, what you thought about it? Your belief system, I'm sure you were pretty young.
Yeah, I think I was pretty young. It seems to me, I'm not really sure the age, but at a very young age, I was kind of just playing pool. My grandparents had like a little pool table at their house because we had a really large family. And a young child, I was young enough to, I guess, stand up next to a pool table. So I must have been super young, but I would guess, I don't know, young.
Right.
Young enough to understand that to create an image or whatever, but when we were playing pool and they had mentioned something about the devil. And I'm like, huh? What? The devil? What's the devil?
Right.
Never heard of that before, so, and that led to the subject, something about hell, yeah, he's in hell, and that's where you're going to go when you're bad, and that. I'm like, okay, so, but, and as I started going to church, I was involved with the actual Baptist religion growing up. That was a very main teaching in their dogma, their doctrine, was that. So it got reinforced as a child growing up, and that concept of that, but I don't share that same belief anymore. I've learned a lot, and my concept of things has really broadened. I'm not really just in that little box anymore saying, hey, this is what it is.
Right.
And that's what I appreciate about these near-death experiences. These are real, live experiences. This isn't like a book that's been written by dead men that has really no life in it.
This is people who have been there and
actually are coming back
experienced
with
it.
these experiences. Yeah.
Right. And myself, I can remember I was maybe 7 or 8. I was actually in church, and they were talking about hell, and I'm like, and they started explaining it to me, and my brain goes to processing this and envisioning it, and it's like a red flag comes up. I'm like, well, wait, if God is supposed to be a pure love and forgive you, then why would he torment me forever in hell for a few poor choices that I've made?
Right.
So immediately in my belief system, I had red flags coming up. So, and that's what we need to do, is really question where these beliefs come from, and does it resonate with you or does it not?
Right.
Because, myself, I have grown past the heaven-hell concept, and really,
It's very liberating.
it is very, very liberating.
I have been so liberated since we started studying the NDEs and really
Enlightened.
talking to people and reviewing and interviewing and just really taking in these experiences. And this is over the whole world, tens of thousands. Last I heard it was 60-something, 70,000 actual recorded scientific medical record documents with actually of these experiences being recorded. And they all say the same thing. And none of them mention anything about torment. Like I said, you have what we call hellish experiences, and they'll go and say, oh, I died and I went to hell and I came back. There are a lot of YouTube videos out there that says, I went to hell. And this is not putting people down who said they actually went to hell and that hell is very real. It is very real in their mind. Okay?
Right.
It's all in your mind. Everything is mind. And when you understand that concept, you'll understand why these people that come from the other side talk about the love, that is on the other side, the love between everything, the source, what we call God, or what we call love, what we call the all. Mm-hmm. Hell cannot exist in that kind of environment. Now, it could be in your mind because of the hell that you've created here on earth while you were here.
Okay.
Metaphorically speaking.
Right. Now, you're making me think of the concept of hell, and really just stop for a minute and think. If you're serving your Creator, your Heavenly Father, God, out of fear to keep from going to that place,
you're doing it wrong.
You're serving out of fear. You're not being good because you want to be, because you want to help others. It's enlightenment, and it releases that fear that you have in believing in that place. You're serving and living a good life out of fear of that afterlife.
Yeah, and the bottom
And
line
we
is
shouldn't have to do that. Be enlightened, really open up and
that's right.
and
Do good things.
grow from this.
Live the way you're supposed to live. Learn from what your mistakes. If you made a mistake, learn from it. Live with it and move on. Don't torture yourself. I've even heard of stories that when you cross over to the other side, some stories say you've actually instantly purged. You don't have that negative to be brought over to the other side. I've also heard stories that you get your purging or your cleansing through your life review. When you get to feel and experience what you put out, So the point is, you're not getting off the hook. I'm not saying that just because I'm not saying that literal hell, fire, and torment and all
brimstone,
that stuff exists. You're still not getting off the hook. But the point is, you're not going to be judged, and the Creator or the Source loves you in a way that you can't comprehend. And that's really the main thing I can share with anybody that I've understood from these NDEs that we've been studying.
Right. And I love the way Jordan Maxwell brought out in one of his talks that he's done. He was asking his Catholic teacher in school when he was really young, if I'm a spirit and you're telling me there's a hell I'm going to go to if I do wrong, then if I'm a spirit, how can a spirit burn forever and be tortured? How is that possible? So we really have to open our minds up and really meditate, ponder these things, their belief systems.
Well, you can bet the moment he asked that authoritative, the illusion of authority, should I say,
right,
figure that
he
became instant enemy of the state. You can bet they did not like that boy from that day forward, because
definitely
religion doesn't like free thinkers.
A heresy
is
the name of the term of that is free thinking.
Yeah, it's heresy. Think about that. Have you ever thought about the word heresy? It just means you're a free thinker. You're going against orthodox religion, more specifically Christianity. Let's not get too far offhand.
Right, yeah. Back up
a little bit. Yeah,
some of the ancient Greek and Roman
influences. Correct.
Yeah.
Well, the Greek and Roman mythology had various realms associated with the afterlife. Such as the Greek Hades, which is where we get our word
right. That
hell.
was what I thought of too, was Hades.
Yep, and the Roman underworld. Now, the concept of Tartarus, that actually is a Greek mythology concept. It actually has even bled over into the Bible itself.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking.
It was a place of punishment for the wicked. Now, well, what about Judaism?
Yeah, in the Hebrew, the Old Testament, it contains references to that afterlife as well. But the concept of hell as a place of eternal punishment is not explicitly developed as in later religious traditions. Sheol is often mentioned in the Hebrew Bible and as a shadowy realm for the dead. So, you see the changes that hell concept is going through here.
Absolutely. And anybody that knows anything about hell, and we know how it's has been mistranslated in Scripture, especially in the King James Version Bible. You have hell, Hades, Sheol, the Tartarus, Gehenna. You have so many things that was translated as the pit, the place of torture and torment. That's where the devils and all that demons are going to go. And when you really start to look at this, like in Christianity, I guess what I hear is that the concept of hell as a place of eternal punishment is more fully developed in Christian theology.
Exactly. Yeah, this is what really
in the New
changes.
Testament, okay? Even within the Bible itself, the Hebrew Scriptures have no harmony with the New Testament or the Greek scriptures when it comes to the concept of hell.
Exactly.
The Hebrews, they believed in Sheol, and it was just where man, that spirit world where man went after they transitioned from this world.
Yeah.
However, when you start looking into more of the New Testament, now you start having more of the concept of hell, demons, the devil, and things like that. And
even through the different denominations, it changes. The concept of hell changes. Some emphasizing more of a fiery torment, while others focus on total separation from God. So right there in the different denominations of Christianity, they don't agree. So how can you believe in something that nothing agrees with? And that's what the beauty in these experiences from these NDEers is there is no punishment on that side. It is pure love. How can we continue to believe in a fiery place of torment when all of these experiences or most of them are coming back saying that there's love, there's peace, there's joy, total bliss.
Right. Even though like I said, have hellish experiences, they typically come back to the love.
Exactly.
So the love is always there, but it's all in your mind. Now,
exactly. And let me tie that in right here, because you
Sure.
had asked about that earlier, about the Susan Giesman question, is there a hell? It's a brief paragraph here I'm going to read, and a two-parter from her channel, Sanaya. They say, is there a hell? So many of you ask, and the answer is yes, but not as you envision. It is not a place, but a state of mind. And no one is trapped there, but remains there as a result of their own thoughts. Not an uplifting topic today, you say, but that's what we're covering. So right here, you create your own heaven and hell. Nothing is as it seems. All is perception. If it appears hellish, examine closely why it is so. All is actually neutral. You paint the colors on the canvas. Will they be dark or bright? So we have to learn how to paint the picture. I mean, if it's all illusion, it's all perception, that is what so many of our NDEers have actually said in their experiences, that it's not there. It's just a state of mind. There is no punishment.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. And then the second part of that, somebody had asked about, what about the leaders of the world that have punished and killed, murdered millions? What about them? What happens when they cross over to the other side? And it really just goes in to say that they are shown what they have done to others, and that they have to experience the full pain of what they done, and that they stay,
could be referenced as hell.
Right, and they stay in a place of recovery. So they have to rethink and relearn what effect they had on everything to change to that place of love. They have to get back to their hearts and love.
So beautiful for source, for God. It's that to me is what love really is.
Right.
We're gonna do evil stuff over here, or whatever would be considered as evil.
Poor choices.
Yeah, poor choices, bad choices, hurt and harm, stupid things. Okay, that's welcome to being human. However, it's not like that on the other side. That's a whole different realm, and we have to understand. Don't put God in a box and say, well, he's going to be tormenting and torturing all this and that, and hell's this and hell's that. No. That's a whole different vibration, a whole different level, a whole different realm that we can't comprehend. However, once any of us, and all of us eventually, transition over to the other side, then, we'll know that love on the level that we can't comprehend, that so many of these near-death experiences come back and tell us about. It's a love you can't comprehend.
Exactly. And that's the beauty in all of it. It eliminates the fear from death and torment when you can really grasp these things that are being brought out. I mean, really just be enlightened, take this in, let it resonate, and release the fear that you have about this topic, because that is going to keep you exactly, that's going to keep you in a lower vibration. And then if you have some type of accident, you're going to probably experience a distressing or hellish NDE.
That's my understanding as well.
Yeah, and you hear it in so many of these accounts. It's just amazing when you can live and not have that fear.
Very good, very good. Now, in Buddhism, the actual idea of hell or hellish realms, they do exist, but it said it's only temporary state of suffering rather than eternal punishment. You see the difference in the two?
Exactly. Now, a lot of people don't understand what Buddhism is, but it's not an actual religion. It's a way of life.
It's awakening.
Yes, exactly.
I think Buddha is to awaken, or awakening, something like that.
Exactly. Even in Hinduism, the concept of hell realms where individuals may experience suffering as a result of their actions in previous lives. So, I mean, you see in the change of what the concept of hell is in each one of these. So it really, hopefully, it is enlightening you and eliminating any fear that you may have about the afterlife.
Yeah, and to go with that thought, when you see things, how they have graduated over time and how we get our modern concept of hell, at least the religious perspective, let's take a quick look at the actual Catholic Church's influence on the Bible and the modern concept of hell. Now, their influence on the development of Christian doctrine is at most, they have the most influence in the Bible, of course.
Exactly.
So a few things to consider now, that the concept of hell as a place of eternal punishment has evolved, over centuries.
Yeah, it's been changing
within the Christian tradition. It says that early Christian theologians, such as Augustine of Hippo, contributed to the development of the doctrine of hell. Okay, now that Hippo, that would be one of the councils where you get your modern day Bible.
Around the 300s, wasn't it?
I'm not sure on when Hippo was. Now I know the actual Council of Nicaea was 325.
It could have been before around that era. Anyway,
but here's what you got to keep in mind: those three, the Council of Nicaea, the Council of Hippo, and the Council of Carthage, were the most influential councils of the Catholic Church that gives you your modern day Bible.
Exactly.
Okay? The actual Council of Nicaea, it mainly focused around the deity of Jesus. Now, is Jesus a man who knew his godliness, or was he God himself coming down in a man's form? All right, so that was the biggest...
This is a big question.
The big question, yeah. So that started it right there, and they picked... And they voted, keep this in mind, not because this is what it is, but men voted it, it was outvoted, that Jesus is God in the flesh. So they chose that day to create a God, all right? So they said that Jesus is God, all right? But the truth is he is, but so are you and all of us. We all are source, and this is what the real Jesus actually taught, the historical Jesus taught, that you are God, you are source, you are love, we all are love, and how we treat each other is, the way we want to be treated, So these guys showed us the way and taught us the way how to live. But
the golden rule.
Absolutely. So the Council of, and they started getting together the books of the Bible. But the Council of Hippo, from what I understand, is where they chose the actual books of the Bible. And then I think the Council of Carthage is where they sealed it off and said, this is, by then they done had the Christian theology and the Christian dogma. And at this time is when they started all the, you start looking into the Inquisitions. They started going out and just slaughtering millions of innocent souls because, they didn't want to start adopting the Christianity religion. So when you start looking at that and see what the foundation of Christianity was built on, you can see that's not what these early masters like, Yeshua or Jesus or any of them actually taught us how to live. That's horrific. So you have to be careful about even the religion you support and really look into the roots where it all came from.
Right. And getting onto the subject of the hell, the 14th century was significant as far as the solidification of the hell doctrine.
Dante's Inferno.
Exactly.
If this is where we get our modern day concept of hell from. If you ever read Dante's Inferno, go look at it online, go download it, go get a book, whatever. Dante's Inferno will give you exactly the modern map, or the where today's hell and hellfire and all that stuff came from. Okay, this is a book, more or less a poem, to be honest with you.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's been books written on it. But I think it was like a poem, a divine comedy or something like that. And there was a section known as Inferno. Okay, and like Daphne had mentioned, it was like 14th century. But the Inferno was talking about how he went through hell and the Inferno, and that's where you had all the demons and the devils and the fires and the pits and things like that. So it was just a story. It was just a poem that was made up. However, it has such a major influence on Christian theology that it actually, it became part of that Christian, even making it to the Bible, that hell is this place of torture and punishment, and for all of those out there who has made it this far, listening to this stuff, and if you're feeling those kind of like, very uncomfortable feelings, this is not to make anyone feel uncomfortable. Okay, we have respect for everyone's beliefs, everyone's spirit, and what's drawing them to the source. That's beautiful. It's not for us to bash or put down your thoughts. So please be at ease. We're not attacking your belief system of what you believe hell is, okay? And we're not saying that hell does exist or hell doesn't exist. That's the disclaimer. Nobody knows. But the point is, according to the near-death experience world, our experience from reviewing and interviewing and studying hundreds of these cases, it doesn't exist. It's not a literal place. It can't. It's not a literal place, but it can be in your mind, and and you're still going to have to deal with the wrong that you've done. Right,
and we were just covering like the 14th century. I mean, bringing it on up to listen to this now. In 1992. I mean, come on. The Catholic Church published first time some doctrines that provided an official summary of the Catholic doctrine. It included those teachings on what hell is, describing it as a state of definitive self-exclusion from communion with God. So right there, I mean, in 1992, they're even changing it back then, what the theology of hell concept is.
Yeah, I was going to just kind of chime in there from a theological perspective, okay? The Catholic Church also, along with many other Christian denominations, they teach that hell is a real and eternal state of separation from God for those who die in a state of mortal sin without repentance. Some religions even teach, you're going to go to hell because you rejected belief in their God, or because you didn't accept Jesus as your Savior. Some are going to hell because they sinned and they did all these evil, wicked things.
They never repented, but how many of those in church have repented but still out there doing all kind of bad things?
Yeah.
I mean, so it doesn't make sense to my brain. I'm not saying it doesn't make sense to somebody else, but to my brain, my belief system, that doesn't make sense anymore. I can't believe in something that doesn't make any sense anymore.
Well, I like how to go with that thought. It brings out that the Catholic Church has also contributed to the interpretation and understanding of the biblical passages related to hell. So they had a big influence,
man changing
of that. And when you look at the power that they have, and it's still to this day, but their history, the Catholic Church is the one that started, this movement, pretty much of the modern day Christianity.
Yeah, even thinking about them changing all these passages in Scripture. Think about all the different Bible versions and how real conflicting they are. I mean, the Bible transforms lives. Yes, it does. I'm not bashing it in that sense. But the addictions that are in there.
I didn't know there were so many until I looked in it myself.
I know,
Daphne,
yeah.
I would have defended it in a heartbeat. I've
Me
defended
too.
the Bible
I would
all my
have.
life, and I still love the Bible. I'm not a Bible basher. There is the divine in there, but I also understand, like I always say on this show, there is an influence with man's tampering and things like
Exactly.
that. But you want to learn about God, walk out in
Walk
nature.
out and get in nature. Yes, exactly. Go to the beach. Go to the
Go
mountains.
out by the
Go
forest
to a lake
or out in the
forest.
yard, just somewhere outside.
wherever.
Yeah.
Get out in your front yard and sit down on
Kick
the
them
ground.
shoes off, walk around on the ground.
Yeah, connect with Source right there.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to a brick and mortar place to experience the love of the Creator.
Absolutely. So, in wrapping things up, is there a hell? Well, the disclaimer is I don't know, because we'd have to get clear on what your concept of hell is. So that would be the first question. Is hell a fiery, physical torment?
Place of brimstone.
Fire and brimstone that's been taught in mainstream religion? I don't know. I do know that this is not what we get back from near-death experiences that we've studied. Like I said, tons of them, and there's literally tens of thousands of these all around the world.
Lots and lots and lots
Probably
of
even
case
close,
references.
maybe even close to 100,000 by now.
Oh, well, I don't even have a number to that.
So now, is hell a state of mind?
I'm believing it is more now.
I'm starting to believe it more as well. So I don't know. Do people experience hell? NDEs? Absolutely. Does this prove that hell is a physical place?
No.
No, it doesn't. The afterlife is, they didn't die. They just had a near-death experience, and they experienced something on the other side. That near-death experience, the hellish near-death experiences, 9 times out of 10 have something to do with that person having to change something in their lives to be more constructive.
Their belief systems even.
Maybe they didn't finish their main purpose. They could have done better. They should have done
Get
better.
them back on track with their life purpose, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Their soul contract is a lot of them like to bring out.
Yes.
Get them back on track.
Absolutely. So, and those of you who believe in that, we love you, and we respect your belief systems. This is not a judgment call on those of you who still hold tight to your belief systems. If you share the one, like a lot of the mainstream groups do, of the torment and the torture, and when you go there, when you die, I think most of the people who have this belief system don't really know much about near-death experiences. Okay,
Exactly.
And let's separate those two right now. I'm noticing a lot of these groups and stuff like that. The people who are making comments about hell is real. There is a real place, and you will get tortured, and you will be tormented, and da-da-da, because people still believe this, and they actually make that comment. And then you have these others that said, no, it's not. It's
Right.
just love on the other side. And those are the actual NDEers. These are the people who
I can
actually
tell.
had that experience. You can tell their comments that, all of them are in harmony with each other. Every one of them comes back with the same.
That's the beauty in it. That's where.
There's a harmony.
Yes, that's the truth that runs throughout the NDEs.
Correct. It's one of those truths. Whereas, hell itself, even within different Christian denominations, has different beliefs on what hell is.
The concept of what hell is,
and different concepts from different cultures and backgrounds and things.
Right.
So my question would be, and I'd leave everybody with this question is, well, does hell exist? My answer would be a question. Well, that depends on what your concept of hell is. And that
Exactly, because a
pretty
lot of
much
people
wraps it
say
up.
hell is here on earth. We experience heaven and hell right here on walking the earth.
Absolutely. And let me leave you with this question. Does the concept, although we do bad things here on earth, we all do, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. And who are we to judge another soul for what they've done and the bad that they've went through? What you're doing, you're putting yourself in place of judge. Okay, you're not a judge. You're a spirit. You're part of something that's greater and so much bigger than what you are. Okay, so we have to get out of these mindsets of condemning others and their belief systems and
Right.
and condemning them because in our world we think they were such bad people. They were such evil people. They did this, but I don't know what was going on through that person's mind. So who am I to judge another soul?
We judge our own selves on the other side from what I understand.
Absolutely. And to kind of go with that thought, maybe like a little final comment, I'll get everything here wrapped up here shortly, these are kind of connecting. But I do recall an experience where this lady, she knew she did bad. She went there and she knew she was getting ready to have her life review and all this and there. And so she just actually told God, told the source, said, look,
I'm ready for my judgment.
I'm ready for my judgment. I know I was bad. I know I did rotten things and everything. And what did the source say? Be quiet. You belong to me.
Exactly, yeah. The love that's there.
I'm not here to hurt you, to harm you, to torment you, to torture you.
Exactly.
All your bad exists over here in the other realm where we're at. This is where bad exists. This is where
dualistic world.
Heaven and hell, torture, darkness, everything is here, but it doesn't exist on the other side.
Right.
And I guess that's kind of the only thing I'd like to leave everybody with. You know.
And you were going to ask a final question?
Well, yeah, the question is, I guess, more in the line of, does your concept of God, love, all these things, source, that great spirit that gave life and that is life and is in all of us and all things, can you really, regardless of, like I said, we all did bad, we all done bad, but can you see him or it and really rationalize in your mind and put the concept of someone of love, pure love, okay, no judgment, pure love, mixed with the concept of hate, harm, torture, eternal punishment? Can you really, in your heart of hearts, really put those two together? Because I've talked to many, many people in my life, and that was a concept that they could not really merge. Now,
right.
They can think, well, they were all bad people. They did bad things. Well, according to who? You or God?
Right.
You see? So Source is all, and Source knows all. So we'll leave it at that. Any final comments, Miss Daphne?
Yeah, just really delve into your own belief systems. Just really delve into it, because you can examine and differentiate what's truth and what's not truth. Listen to your solar plexus, your heart area. It's going to tell you what's truth and what's not true. A lot of people have this gut feeling upon judging others, sense of energy or good person or bad person. Right. But listen to it in your own belief system. Go there and really meditate on this and see what it tells you about everything.
Well said. I guess on that note, we will go ahead and wrap things up. So we thank everybody for coming out. We send you our love. And as always, may peace be with you all. And until next time,
let your light shine.
For more information about the NDE World Podcast, visit NDE.world. That's NDE.world.